Now that we have our home page pretty well along its way towards completion, let's focus on the single entry view templates. And those are the ones when I click on an entry like iced coffee, it brings me to the actual unique URL for the entry. And if you remember earlier in the course, we created these templates under drinks and then underscore entry.twig. That's this right here. So I went ahead and just did entry.title and then reloaded, I would get the entry. Same thing if I did espresso, I would get the title as well. Now, one thing to remember is that the template that is rendered here is defined in our section settings. So if I go to settings, sections, drinks, you can see that we define the URI format and the template. So when you are creating your entry view templates, make sure you are creating them exactly as you set them up here. And if you remember when we did this, I went right away to my code editor and created this so I wouldn't be confused, work on the wrong template, and so forth. It makes it much less prone to error. So let's look at the static template again. And if I click on a drink here, I am now on the static version of the drink page. This is the single entry view page. Let's kind of go through what we have here. At the top, we have a title. This is a category. We're going to leave this alone for now until we talk about categories. This right here is some sort of excerpt or introduction. Then we have the page copy. Here we have an image. And then we have some more page copy and then a button off to the recipe itself for this drink. We're going to leave this as it is for now and come back to it later when we're working with relating entries to each other. So jumping back in our entry template, let's get rid of that test code. And the first thing I want to do is extend the layout that I created earlier. And this is in underscore layouts / main. So if I do that, I'm now extending that. And if I go back here and reload, you can see I kind of get this wrapper stuff. I got the top bar and the footer. I just have to define what is going to go in between. To do that, we'll go to our static templates and then to drinks, drink detail. I don't want to grab everything here because I don't need it. I only need what is in the middle, which is going to be everything from the breadcrumbs all the way down to where the footer starts, which is right here. So I'll copy that, go back to my project, and define my block, because remember the blocks are going to override the block of the same name in any extended templates. So block, it was called main, and block, and then in here is where I'm going to paste in my template specific content. Save that, go back and reload, and there we go. Now we've loaded in all of the static markup and content, and now we know that this is rendering properly. It looks good, and now I'm ready to make it dynamic. So popping back in, let's learn a little bit about how Craft works in these single entry view templates. The first thing to know is that unlike some other CMSs you might have worked in, we don't have to retrieve the entry up here. I don't have to do something like set entry equals craft.entries.section, drinks, and so forth to get the one that we're looking at. We automatically get that fed into Twig and made available to us through Craft. Craft knows that when I am at this URI, it is asking for this entry. It goes and fetches it based on the slug and then grabs all of the data and content and makes it available. Because of that, I don't have to query. I actually get automatically an object called entry. And then from there, there's properties like title, and then some of the custom field names like page copy, and all of that is automatically available to us. So the first thing I want to do is, let's see, we got some breadcrumbs here. So drinks is just going to be /drinks, and this will be actually the title of the current entry. So we just do entry.title. We can just keep looking here. There you go. You can see it changed to iced coffee. Let's work on this title of the page. And that is right here, Perfect Espresso. Again, double curly braces because those are the output tags. Entry.title. This is a category. We're going to leave that as it is for now. Go down. This is the introduction. Entry.introduction. Save that. Let's check our work. It's going to reload. There we are. Looks like I just got intro in there, so it's not very fancy introduction, but I can see iced coffee is working just fine. That's working, and I'm going to do the page copy. So for the page copy, I need to get rid of all this markup. And then right in here, I do entry and then the name of the field that we're using, which is page copy. Let's save that. Reload. And there's the page copy. We can go back to the home page. We'll click on Espresso. That has some more content. There we go. So news, article, lead, or summary. Here's the copy. And then here's this big image, which, oh yeah, I got more copy here. Let's go ahead and get rid of all of this. That's just static stuff, including the inset image. We can do that with our WYSIWYG editor if we want to. And then here is the button for linking to the recipe, and we'll come back to that later. All right, so let's look at the front end. Reload. Everything is looking good. We have our drink, our lead or introduction here, and then our page copy. And we can see if I go into this entry for drinks, espresso, I might want to say that this maybe is called Perfect Espresso, something like that. And we'll change this copy. We'll say the best shot you've ever had. And we can save it. Reload here. There we go. Now it is reflecting our changes. So everything here, except for this button and the image back here, is all dynamic. Let's take a look at this image here. So if I go back in here and I look at line 8 here, there's this close style tag, and it's using this inline style here with a background image and a gradient. I'm just going to take that out and just replace it with entry dot. And what is the name of our image? We'll go back in here just to make sure we have it right. Drink image, entry.drinkimage.1. Remember, we just need to fetch one because assets always come as a collection, and then URL. And now if I go back and reload, there we are. There's the dynamically pulled in image based on the one that we set in our entry right here. This one right here, all set. So now we have a nice dynamic page. So let me go back to my home page, click on iced coffee. There we are, iced coffee. We have the image. Of course, the category isn't going to work. And we haven't been very creative with our content yet. So we want to make sure we drop in some better content than that to test our layout. Okay, we're making really great progress, and I want you to continue working on your own. So up to this point, we have done the homepage and the entry listings for both the drinks and the coffee news on the homepage, but we haven't done the individual listing or the individual entry view for the news. We did do it for the drinks, so you know how this whole thing works. So on your own, I want you to practice what you've already learned. If you need to, you can come back and look at the video again. I want you to work on bringing to life our news article views. So a couple things to remember is that you want to review the fields that we've created so you know which ones to use. And maybe you created different ones than I did. So if you go into fields, news, go here, also into the sections and the news entry type, look for the field layout because these are the actual fields that are being assigned to that section. And don't forget where we set up the template to be used, and that would be news, and in this case, news_entry. If you go to news_entry, that should be blank because we created it earlier. And this is where you want to drop in the static content, do the extends, do the block, and then start to bring it to life using entry dot and then title and so forth. All right, in the next video, we'll check in and I'll walk through it so you can check your work.